Good evening and welcome to episode 163 of the About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with host Stefan Loeffler at Junkwax Twins.
Oh, hi.
Myself, Ben Wilson at Our Trading Cards, and co-produced by Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. We are available as a podcast everywhere you can find a podcast. And you can check out our website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. And we are trying to go over a couple things with the website and maybe roll that back out with some fresh and exciting ideas. So stay tuned for more. We want to welcome back guest host Joey Shiver, Dub Mentality, to About the Cards at Dub Mentality on the old Twitter. What's going on, brother man?
Hey guys, what's happening? It is 11 Eastern here since it's 10 Central. So we've got all the most of the time zones covered.
Hey, look at that. He knows time zones.
So yeah, hey. It's been a while. I don't have the exact episode in which you last sat in with us. How have things been going since last you were on?
Pretty good, man. It's been summertime around here, so got two kids that just started back to school last week. Just had a birthday last week with one of them. So a lot of extracurricular stuff goes on during the summer, and cards are still there, but I have to kind of balance everything out. So it's been busy, but things are kind of getting back to normal from a card perspective nowadays.
How's the old TikToking go over there on the?
It's been going. I pick up new followers all the time. I don't post, daily or anything. I just post every now and then, opening some packs, and pretty good response over there. A lot of times, it's people who are not familiar with card collecting anymore. They did when we were kids, or when they were kids, and they're like, "Wow, I haven't seen these in forever." This brings back a lot of memories. So it's pretty cool when when that happens. Of course, there's a lot of other stuff going on over there. People that want me to wear gloves and why I'm opening 87 tops, all that kind of stuff. So, but for the most part, it's pretty good scene over there with people who just want to see me open cards.
We don't have to introduce you to our listeners because I'm sure you're good friends with the majority of them, and at the very least, they know who you are. You've been around for a very long time. You've written in Beckett Magazine as well as other outlets. And you have your own strong following. So I try not to giggle at the TikTok stuff you share. And a lot of times you tag me on it because you're you, right? And I understand not everybody on TikTok's going to know, your level of knowledge and experience. It just cracks me up that every time you'd share something, it was always because you're opening up junk wax, late 80s stuff. It's, these are worthless or like you said, wear gloves, that modern mentality of how we have to touch these. And it's like, it's a 1988 Tops Ron Gant. For all they know, it's going to get a thumbtack right above your bed, right above Alicia's head. Like, hey, honey, sorry, the wedding picture's coming down, 88 Donos, bam.
Yeah. I can't tell you.
But if you were to put a card on the ceiling, it might fall over.
Okay, there we go. Well, the one thing, the comment that I get the most that is a little, that I tried to respond to them when they first started coming in, but they come in so much, is the guy who says, that pack's already been searched. And I'm like, listen, it's a box of 87 tops that I bought for $20. Sure. Out of that box, I pulled 2 McGuire's, 3 Bonds. I didn't pull any Bo, but I'm like, what are they going to take out of an 87 tops box? And even if they took the Canseco, the McGuire and the Bonds, I'm just enjoying opening these. It's about the experience for me, So It was, if you go through, especially the first video that kind of went viral, if you go through and look at the comments, I bet you 35% of them are that pack's already been opened before, or I've never. You would be surprised at how many people had never seen the cello packs. They were like,
Interesting.
those aren't real because those came in wax packs, not those. And I'm like, these are cello packs. They come in cello, wax, and rack packs among the different ways they were presented. But a lot of people said this is not real because he's not opening wax packs, and so it was surprising to kind of see. There was some educational stuff going on, but there was also some trolling. But a lot of people had never seen an actual 60 card pack of Tops from '87. So it was, that was interesting too.
That's what's fun about being a content creator, especially like what you're doing is you are re-educating some folks, but also showing some people that may, like you said, may not have been around during that time frame or remembered. How many of us remembered back 30 plus years ago opening this, that, or the other, and the way it was packaged back then, outside of encyclopedias. But you have any new PC items? Something exciting over the last month or so you got?
Well, yeah. So one thing very exciting. I was the recipient of a great rack that Midwest Box Breaks started, and he just saw a post of mine that kind of made the rounds. I'm always posting different cards that I want in the future. There's a couple of Grail cards, that I'm always on the lookout for, but never seem to buy them. And one of those is the Walter Payton rookie card. And he got together with several people, and they sent me an SGC3 Walter Payton rookie card. And he asked me, we were just talking in DMs, and he asked me if what I was looking for did I ever, was I looking for something that was like mint? Or I said, listen, man, when I look for them, I don't really care. I said, I've always been nervous about buying them online or eBay, things like that, because it is a popular counterfeit. So that's one reason I've never picked them up that way. And then, I see them in shows and things like that. Sometimes they're a little overpriced. Sometimes they're in too good a condition because I don't want a 9 or a 10, that kind of money. So I told him I've always just look around and see what I can find, and conditions never really matter. So, and it looks great. I mean, it looks better than a 3 to me, but I mean, it's a. Do
you have it?
I do, but I may have to grab it. I don't know if I put it in here or if I've already put it in I have a graded box. But I'll post it.
If you post it,
I'd have to step away. But I do have it in my graded box. So, but I got it. I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and that was real. I mean, anytime anybody gives you a card, it doesn't matter if it's a 92 Donruss Ron Gant or if it's a 76 Walter Payton. It means a lot to you because somebody went out of their way to get you something that you like. And which an example of that, I open 1990 Fleer all the time. I have packs everywhere. If you looked in my shoe boxes and Rubbermaids that I have unopened packs in, you're going to find the most 89 Donruss and 90 Fleer. Those are the things that really were nostalgic for me and growing up. And
Won your remake?
No, Jose. But you'll like this, Ben. But Mark McGwire's 90 Fleer always had some special meaning to me. He's throwing the ball, but back when when I was trick or treat as a kid, I was 13 in 90. We'd go get our candy, and then my grandmother would always come over, and she would bring something unique for all of us that we all liked. My brother liked cars, Hot Wheels and stuff like that, and she brought me baseball cards, and that was one of the first McGuire's that I had in my binder. I started collecting late '88. And so in '89, I really hit hard, but in '90, I had started bindering everything up, and the McGuire, I remember pulling it. I remember sitting in my living room floor, pulling the card and just having this memory. And so I always open 90 Fleer, and that's one of the cards I look for. And I opened some one night on and showed off the cards and while I was opening them, and like a week later, somebody sends me a wax pack, not a wax, but a cello pack of 90 Fleer, and the McGuire's on top of it.
Nice.
And they sent it to me because of that story. And so,
Yeah.
anytime anybody
Nice.
does something like that, I mean, it's humbling. You feel honored. There's no way you can really properly thank people for stuff like that because they're really going out of their way to do something nice for you. And I try to do that for other people and pay it forward, but you always feel like you can't really pay that back. And so those are a couple of things that I picked up PC wise that are kind of special to me. So I left it sealed.
That's awesome. I got a mail day from Matt McNeil, who's at 1986 Astros, loyal listener, good friend. Sends me a lot of
in the chat earlier this morning.
Yeah, just in the chat. And I opened it up, and I knew he was going to send me a Ramon Laureano Gypsy missing nameplate. But in there was a little note about Archive Signature Series. He's like, everybody needs a little smoke. Sent me a Dave Stewart, which that was his nickname. I smoke cigars. It's kind of the double entendre there, but it was 1990 Tops from Archive Signature retired. Nice. And I took a snapshot of my eBay watch list, and I said, literally, dude, I have one there that's closing in 2 days.
Yeah,
that I was going to make a run at. So shout out to Matt for that. But yeah, it's awesome when, and I know I tagged you on one the other day with I think her name was Sarah Brandon, trying to get her kid into some cards, and he's a Braves fan, and so I tagged you and Herman, and it's like, not only will you probably have some Brave stuff you can send. Anytime a kid is involved, I want to get involved, and if I can't do it personally, got so many awesome friends that I can reach out to. And if not them personally, again, it spreads like wildfire, and the community will come together and get cards in the hands. And
there it is.
Beautiful card. We're showing the 90 Fleer if you're listening at home and don't have
that's
the visual.
Pack. That's the pack that I got because it was in the, I think Steph found it, but that's the pack I got that because it was in a team bag and everything. So I haven't even opened. I just left it just like it is, and it went in one of my boxes. So
that's awesome. So
that's really cool.
So we got football season is upon us. It's unofficially starting right now. We got the preseason kicking off. How excited are you personally? And I know you were a little late hopping on tonight because the Braves were in a playoff race.
They're still playing right now. I'm looking at the TV. They are.
For what it's worth, I did look it up.
Down 6-5, but it's the bottom of the 11th.
Last episode he was on was 148. So it's been
a couple
15
months.
Episodes.
So how excited are you for football season, knowing that right now, I mean, the Braves, a couple weeks ago, it looked like it was the Mets division running away, and all of a sudden now the Braves and Phillies are right there.
Yeah.
And you could argue that the Mets are now the third best team in that division. And
they said tonight that the Braves have made up 5 games in 12 days. And if they are able to pull out a win tonight, Phillies losing, we'll be tied for first, tonight. And we obviously, we lost Acuna. We lost Soroka at the beginning of the season. Ian Anderson's on the IL now. Travis d'Arnaud, our, Silver Slugger catcher, our cleanup batter, day one, has been out for 60 days. Tonight's his first night back. Ozuna had what happened with him. We've just our whole outfield right now is Jock Peterson, George Soler, and Adam Duvall, none of which were on our team day one.
But you have
day. So
you have Stephen Vogt, and as an A's fan, we believe in Vogt.
Vogt really helped us, while d'Arnaud was out. We had Kevin Smith who kind of struggled, but Vogt's really been pretty solid, and they kept him and DFA'd Kevin Smith. But the bullpen's been rough. They finally come around, so it's going to be, I hope, a fun August and September. That's all I really want is just keep me interested. Let's make a run for this, and let's see what we can do. But obviously, football starting is huge for me, especially Georgia football, which we're only 24 days away, I believe, from Georgia Clemson in Charlotte, first game of the year.
I thought you were a Bama fan.
I don't know. I mean, Shep thought I was an LSU fan. So, I mean, you guys and Steph is an Auburn guy. So that's Azeez Ojulari. That is our best, actually our best, our highest draft pick this year. He went to the Giants. We had a pretty good draft, but he was our highest, and he went to the Giants. Hoping big things for him.
I wasn't showing your proper team there. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. So
every time I think that Alabama guys, all of them are gone, then they come back the next year and they have, Mac Jones is gone now. He's in New England, and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and Najee Harris. They're all gone, and they're going to just reload. Elijah Moore's good. But, we've had one NFL game so far. It was the Hall of Fame game, the Steelers and the Cowboys. And then, it's glorified exhibition game, but it gives you a little taste of football. And tomorrow night, I think we have the Panthers. There's Trevor. Yeah, he's gone, so we don't have to see him opening night. But we'll have to play DJ Uilung. I can't pronounce his name. But tomorrow night is the Panthers and the Redskins. So it should be an interesting game. I think the starters will
Washington
play very
football
long.
team.
I'm sorry, Washington.
The Guardians.
I don't. But we probably won't see the starters very long. But you'll get to see Mac Jones tomorrow night. Be interesting to see Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzmagic has always been fun to watch. Kind of see what he does with Terry McLaurin. But football's ramping up. Fantasy football's going. I've got 2 drafts coming up at the end of August. It's just a different kind of year for me, a different time of year for me when it starts cooling off down here in South Georgia. And football Saturdays, football Sundays, and really exciting. And it's always a fun time.
So give us 2 or 3 surprise teams that shouldn't be considered deep playoff threats, but might surprise us come into the year.
Well, I don't know if you would say they are deep and would be big surprises, but I do believe that the Bears and Vikings are going to make some noise in their division. I know that the Packers, have all their guys coming back with Rodgers now coming back and all that good stuff. But
is he though?
Well, I mean, allegedly. And they brought Aaron Jones back, but I think the Bears and Vikings, are gonna be solid teams. I'm not being just a homer, but I think people are going to be a little surprised with Atlanta this year in the NFC. Obviously, we've got Ryan Ridley. We lost Julio. But we had a really good draft for we drafted Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida, who's really kind of a hybrid, tight end, wide receiver type guy, sort of like a T.J. Hawkinson.
He reminds me like a Darren Waller, where he'd be interesting to watch. Like, what do you do as an offense? Because he's more versatile than just a traditional running, like a Gronkowski, right?
Yeah.
And then defensively, how do you guard him? Because are you guarding him as a tight end that's going across the middle, that's going to go on some out routes and 7 to 10 yards? Because you're going to get burned. It'll be really fun to watch as a football fan, and what Pitts really is. He's young. He's 20. So he's a little younger than your traditional. I was reading an article today about ESPN had top basically ranking all of the NFL teams based on their under 25 talent, and talking about Pitts and how he was young, and a lot of the guys coming out of college are 22, 23 at that tight end position. They're more developed as a blocker, and it's like, this dude's not a tight end. Much like Darren Waller, he's a weapon.
Yeah,
And
I imagine seeing a lot of 2 tight end sets from Atlanta this year. We've still got Hayden Hurst, and we brought over Arthur Smith from Tennessee, from the Titans, to be our head coach, and Mike Davis came in from Carolina, running back who catches a lot out of the backfield. So I imagine our offense is going to be pretty solid. We're missing Julio, but Ridley has been really stepping up, over the last year and a half of kind of being that guy anyways. But and another team, I don't know that they're not going to be a surprise, but I'm very interested to see the Rams, what they're able to do with Stafford. And I think they're the team with the most Georgia players. I think they've got 6 Georgia players, Stafford being one. But they're going to be interesting. Cam Akers was going to be interesting to watch, but I think he tore his Achilles a week or 2 ago, and so that's going to be tough for them. But I think the Rams will make a little noise too. That West is going to be interesting, because you've got Seahawks, you've got the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, and then San Francisco has been solid. They're going to be bouncing between Garoppolo and the rookie Trey Lance. I don't know who's going to take that job eventually, and then you got the Rams, so it's going to be interesting.
I mean, just speaking personally, ain't nothing good ever come out of North Dakota.
Yeah. So Albie's gonna walk off home runs. So you guys got that W.
Just look at Albie's. Yeah, he's been very good for us. He was 2nd or 3rd in the league in RBIs. So, I mean, for a second baseman. So that's pretty strong.
So
I'll take that. I can relax now.
The NFC West reminds me a lot of the National League West in baseball, where you've got the Giants and Dodgers and Padres in just this absolute dogfight. And you could make an argument for any of those 3 teams being the best or the worst, depending on how you want to argue that narrative. And the NFC West, they got 4 really good teams. I think Arizona is probably the weakest of the group. A lot of it depends on the Niners' health, but you don't know what you're going to get out of that revamped offensive line in Seattle. And then, of course, what does Stafford give St. Louis that Goff couldn't? And so what are a couple of non-quarterback rookies that we should be keeping an eye on as a hobby this year?
One is one that Steph just showed a minute ago, Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. Really good player. Think he's in a good situation, but very good athlete. I think will be probably make a little bit of noise. There's a wide receiver for the Guardians.
The WFT.
I think his name is Demaya Young. Pretty solid looking guy. Of course, you've got the guys. Clemson's running back Travis Etienne has gone to Jacksonville. He's there with Trevor, but they've also got James Robinson from last year, who was very good. But the quarterbacks are who they are. But there's a lot of guys, and I've got actually probably a couple here that I set aside when I'm pulling when I'm opening packs that are non Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts. I think you're going to see a little bit from Najee Harris. James Conner has gone from Pittsburgh. He went to Arizona. And the Steelers have always been tried to be a good running team with being able to spread them out and then run. But Najee Harris, he's tough. I've seen him up close and personal for 3 years in a row now. When he was at Alabama, and he's one of the best I've seen since. I think he was as good as Derrick Henry in college. Harris was just really good. I think he was better than Damian Harris, who went to New England. I think he's really good, and I think he's going to make a good name for himself in the NFL.
All right, so if I wanted to speculate on a market of a second, third year type player, couple of names, why is CeeDee Lamb going to be at the top of that list?
CeeDee Lamb will be at the top of that list because obviously Dallas. That's one of the reasons. You talk about collectability within teams. but Amari Cooper is good. He's been very solid. He gets hurt. He misses games each year. He'll have a game with 10 receptions and 100 yards, and then he'll have a game with 1 reception and 5 yards. He's inconsistent. Michael Gallup is the deep guy, and I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be obviously their go-to guy. I think Justin Jefferson is going to be very close to him. I love Justin Jefferson. What he did last year was really amazing. In that, he had to compete with Adam Thielen and Rudolph, and he basically took Stephon Diggs' place and looked really good doing it.
So that same ESPN article said that the best under 25 offensive asset that's not a quarterback, Justin Jefferson, and it's hard to argue with that. Yeah,
he's really good, and there's a lot of receivers from last year that I think, we didn't see enough out of Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. Ruggs was hurt quite a bit. There was the receiver in Cincinnati. I can't think. It was not Jamar Chase because he's this year's rookie, but it was a rookie in Cincinnati from LSU, and I can't remember who it was. Receivers typically, if you look back over the years, rookie receivers have not.
T. Higgins, right?
Higgins may be Clemson. T. Higgins, but usually the receiving position has taken a year or two to kind of get acclimated to the pro game. But the last 2 or 3, there have been rookie wide receivers that have just bust onto the scene and been really, really good. And I think if you're looking at a third-year player, like I mentioned before, Calvin Ridley is really strong. I think he's going to be the number 1 in Atlanta, obviously.
Sure.
But he's very good. He's not Julio Jones. They're 2 different body types, but Calvin's really good. And so I think there's a lot of second, third-year guys out there that that you could non-quarterback that you can go after depending on what kind of position you like. But I think wide receiver is the deepest of all of them.
If you're a fantasy football player, every fantasy football magazine since the beginning of time will have a section, couple pages dedicated to third-year wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the guys you're going to want to focus on as potential undervalued players, as opposed to some of the aging veterans like a Julio Jones or an AJ Green, or even some of the guys like Amari Cooper, who's with Gallup and Lamb there, might not be as productive from a fantasy football perspective. And it relates exactly to the hobby. We all have had something sell overnight on eBay, and it's been sitting there for 2 months, and you have no idea why all of a sudden it sold, and then you realize, that guy hit 2 home runs, or he scored a touchdown, and the guy ahead of him got injured, and you can
look at the Jordan Love market this offseason, the quarterback in Green Bay, when the speculation was Rodgers was gone, Rodgers didn't want to come back. His cards were just flying, and now Rodgers is coming back and they're cooling off. Either way, he's going to be the guy next year, I think. And I don't know enough about him. He played it at Utah State. I can't remember. But he I don't know enough about him to know what he's going to bring to the table. But I think football is much more volatile than baseball, hobby-wise, because obviously you've got shorter amount of games. You've got more injuries that you have to deal with. You've got shorter playing careers, all this different type of stuff. But it's always interesting to see the preseason, the guys who are really performing well and their cards are on fire, but they're performing well because the starters are not playing very much, and they're making their team and they're setting themselves up for a role on that team. But they're not about to take the position away from an Aaron Jones or from a Devontae Adams or something like that.
You got soft defenses. Guys are trying to play for jobs, but you got soft defenses. Mm-hmm. Starters aren't playing, and you look no further than the Raiders go 4-0 every preseason, and then go 60
And I think the Seahawks went 0-4 the year they won the Super Bowl, didn't they? They went 0-4 in the preseason.
You can't rely on anything in the preseason because it is a lie bigger than anything Bill Belichick has ever told you about his injuries for the upcoming week.
Yeah. This summer league basketball is sort of the same way.
Yeah,
you see
same
all
thing,
over
right?
your Twitter timeline. This guy scored 32 last night, and it's like, well, this guy's probably going to be the 8th guy on the team, the 3rd or 4th guy off the bench during the regular season. But because I know the Hawks played last night, and they were talking about the 2 rookies, but they showed the stands. DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and Trae Young were all sitting there together, and I'm like, these guys on the court aren't even going to be there because these guys sitting down are. It's fun to get excited about them, and it does give you a glimpse of somebody who might be able to break through, somebody that you can kind of stash, put away in your box or something like that. But the quick rise in value never seems to correlate and stay that high. So
and just always be careful when you're buying, because if everybody else is buying, it's probably not the right time. You're either way too late or it's a Mason Rudolph, David Blau, or whatever his name is, the backup quarterback for Detroit.
Who was it? Steph Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke with Washington.
Team.
All right, so we're going to get into the first part of the show. We actually have a new segment that we're going to be bringing. We kind of mentioned at the end of season 3. It's going to be called This Just In, Listener Mail Days and Pulls. So please feel free to share with About the Cards your recent awesome mail days or pulls. Tag @About the Cards on Twitter with a picture or a video if you want. If you do a video, keep it under 60 seconds or thereabouts. Please keep them G-rated. Use the hashtag About the Cards Mail Day. We'll do our best to feature your cards on an upcoming episode. We'd like to at least do one a week. Dub, I know you shared a little bit. I had shared a quick story. This week's feature will be courtesy of our own very Steph. Who said he had
our
very own.
Yeah.
He's ours to keep forever and ever, or for a while. But he had a couple things he picked up that he wanted to share. So again, starting next week, hit us up. We'd love to see what you out there have. In the event we don't get anything from any listeners, then Steph and I or our guest host will kind of pitch hit in that spot instead. So
sounds good. So yeah, like was previously alluded to, your very own myself did hit up a card show this weekend. It was kind of last minute. Found out about it on Saturday, so we hit the show on Sunday. Missed Rich, however, we did meet up with a few Twitter peoples. Show floor wasn't exactly necessarily my bag of tea. It's a lot of graded stuff, and there's actually a table that their entire table run was color blasts and downtowns and kabooms. I'm like, that's not the table for me.
Well, that's a cool ass table. Come on.
Oh no, it was nice, sure, but it's like I don't have 5 digits in my credit card right now. But I did find a couple. One from a couple things from one longtime good friend of ours in the hobby, Roger Neufeld. I think he's based out of Oklahoma, but he brought up and the first one to show off here, a Walter Johnson coin from the 30s. So essentially, Walter Johnson authorized a board game name and image, and the coin itself is impossible to get to show up right. So the year is kind of iffy, whether it was 30, 31, 1927 even. But apparently he actually went on a state-by-state tour signing the board games for people. Thought that was kind of cool. Be impossible to find one, I'm sure. But there's that. And then speaking of historical things, so one of these was recently opened at the National, prior to the National, I think. Wrapper 51 Tops. No card,
Steph sent me a picture of this Saturday. I was like, "Oh Lord!"
I did. So there were no cards. There's no caramel. And the packs looks exactly like what you would imagine. But I figured this would make a great photo frame or something to display
Jeez,
on a
man.
wall somewhere.
Use some gloves. That thing is worthless.
Come on,
It was too.
you do know that pack was searched before you got the wrapper,
Oh,
right?
of course it was.
Yeah, duh. You
But
got
also-
ripped off.
No, not from him. But then also we found a guy who had apparently broke boxes of museum collection. I mean, to a lesser extent, Miguel Snow here. But for $5 a piece, I'm willing to take his cast offs. So for starters, I got a card of myself, Williams Estudillo, triple color there. There's a slight tint of blue in the corner.
Sign it.
I could.
Sign it.
Number to 25, 21 of 25. Fancy. But also 2 of 35, Joe Mauer with a pinstripe, a big pinstripe, raised pinstripe, as it were. From these being from 2020 museum collection. And then also 29 of 30. Miguel Sano with a the photo matched stamp for the Players Weekend in 2018. I believe we were in Kansas City that week when this happened. But you normally don't see an orange-ish / red color, so I thought it was probably from an event it's not our blues, it's not our grays of the past. So I figured it had to be something. And I looked it up. That's what's cool about museum collection is a little sticker that you can type in the number.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, again, send your hits, pack pulls, anything you got that's neat that you're adding to the PC, and we'll try to get you on a future show. So moving on to the week that was last week's releases, we had Tops Living Week 178. Mark Melanson, pitcher for the San Diego Padres, sold 1,442, and rookie Jazz Chisholm for the Marlins sold 2,681. 2021 Panini Gold Standard Football came out last week, and that is about it. A big, heavy week coming up this week.
I do believe Melanson might be the new low for Tops Living.
Could be,
but
yeah.
Also, how fun of a name is Jazz Chisholm to say?
And Jazz is fun to watch too.
Yeah, indeed.
He's an exciting player.
I mean, don't take for granted that he plays for the Marlins, but no, they got a bright young star there.
So hot off the presses this week. It is a big week, so bear with us. Tops Living 179, card 439, Kyle Schwarber, outfield is what he's listed as with the Red Sox. That art is Jared Kelly, and we are trying to get him on a later show, probably late September, early October, hopefully, and we'll kind of find out what it was like to get selected to be a part of this forever and ever set, and kind of pick his brain on being an artist, see if he has any other projects, perhaps with Tops or outside of the hobby that he'd like to share with us. So fingers crossed we can get him secure for an upcoming week. Card 440, Ryan Mountcastle. Rookie card, first base for the Baltimore Orioles. So
speaking of a young star on a miserable team.
Yeah, he's having a really good season, but the Orioles
are good. Not a good week for our good buddy Matt Major at Cardboard Stats at Once a Cub. All in 48 hours, Chris Bryant gets dropped in Project 70 as a San Francisco Giant. A couple of days after Big Chef says, hey, I really want a Chris Bryant on the Giants. Very next day, Tops Living drops Kyle Schwarber as a Boston Red Sox. So too bad, Matt. Sorry about your luck. Now you know what it's like being an Oakland A's collector.
I'm just waiting on the Eddie Rosario Braves one, Steph.
There you go.
I'm more than welcome. You can have them.
Tops Living Star Wars is available from Tuesday to Tuesday. We're going to start mentioning this in the new week releases. Card 229, Cy Snoodles from Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Card 230, GA-97 from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Those just came out yesterday, so you have a few days to get in on that. My dad is building the complete set, so these are an awesome addition to our family PC. Tops Sports Illustrated.
You gotta love the vintage borders.
Yeah, that's the 77 design, isn't it?
Yeah. Chris Penix is another one. He's the artist that does these. Chris is another one that we're going to try to reach out to. And
are they going to do those in different colors? Like there's a yellow,
green, red,
green. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they might have done orange as well. Yeah, there were different series, including Empire, and I think there was a silver one too, if I'm not mistaken. My dad's going to lambaste me after the show for not knowing all of that. Top Sports Illustrated is available through next week. I believe they're only doing 35 weeks. This is week 22. Reggie Jackson, card number 43, with the Yankees from 1980, and card 44 is Will Clark with the Giants from 1990. So you'll have a few more days. Those will reset next Tuesday. Topps Throwback Thursday, available through tomorrow morning. If you want to get on this, we have set 31, which is the 1985 Topps football design. I don't know what you think about that, Dub, but I know it's
my favorite football set. It's the only
probably one of the best, right?
Indeed. It's not really huge stars, but you got like second and third year of key players, Elway and a few others.
That's just a really sharp. I mean, it's got the black borders, and we all know black borders in a hobby aren't great. But yeah, you got card 91 Mike Schmidt, card 92 Juan Soto, which also has a short print variation for you to chase, and then card 93 Rafael Devers. 85 Topps, Dub.
Yeah, I like the 85 Topps. Football was Jerry Rice is one that comes to mind. Warren Moon, a lot of good players in that set. And it's one of the more, if you look up, prices, 85 Topps is one of the better sets to have, and you can get a hold of them. But they do chip. That black border does chip up a good bit, but
that's pretty.
For me, it's hard to beat. You think about 87 Donruss and 86 Topps. All of those had those borders, and could chip, but they look good.
They are. Yeah, it's
one of the best looking cards I have is my favorite looking cards is the Andres Galarraga 86 Topps rookie.
Nice. Sure.
And it's got the black border, and he's got on the Expos uniform. It all just like matches up real well.
This Suze did some card chat based on sets earlier today, and this is one of the sets that I've completed. I don't think I spent more than $10 on any individual card. Now, mind you, I got lucky in that my local card shop here still had a Settle box available, so I broke like 10, 12 packs. Didn't get the Warren Moon. That's the most expensive card of the set. I paid, I think, $10, $12 for it. So very accessible.
Yeah, so once again, Topps, if you're out there listening, take something like this. Take Topps Throwback Thursday, put it in a blender with Topps Archives, and make this Topps Archives moving forward. You rebrand that set. It's tired. You've done every vintage baseball set, probably more than once. Heritage is starting to catch up. It's getting into the right now, right? What, 73 is next year, I believe?
Yep.
You could take Archives and make it strictly an autograph box, a card with 2 autographs for a reasonable price. But, those fan favorite autographs that they do of players that just don't pop up that often. And I mean, Andrew Jones, I think of the Braves, Javi Lopez that are in there. I love Archives autographs, but the sets themselves, I mean, how many times can you have 91, 92 Topps and have,
87 Topps,
have Babe Ruth on 92 Topps, and it's like, okay.
And you're telling me that a complete 300 card set of Topps Archives featuring the 1985 Topps football design wouldn't be badass?
Oh, that would.
And what I'm saying.
I'm talking about the Archive set that has a set from the 50s, a set from the 70s, and then they had this 92, and they always put players that have already been on 92 Topps. They put Greg Maddux on 92 Topps, and it's like, I've already got a 92 Topps Greg Maddux.
we've been saying that put these non-sports, the A team, all of these, next year's archives is going to be the A team. It's going to be something non-sports, or it's going to be some old football or basketball designs that Topps still owns the rights to.
Right.
And you're seeing it in Throwback Thursday, and some of these are just awesome. And you're telling me that you couldn't make that a whole Topps Archives set that has nothing to do with a baseball design, but all of our favorite current and historic players. That's how you rebrand it. We've been saying it. I think Ryan Cracknell has said it. That's how you save Topps Archives. And then you have the Signature Series and the Signature Retired as a buyback program. And all of a sudden, Topps Archives jumps up so many, collectors' lists. That's now one of my favorite products every year, because I don't get my favorite. I'm sorry, I don't need to see Sean Manaea any more than you need to see Freddie Freeman on a 1988 Topps card. I got 1988 Topps. It's got all of the great players of that year of my team.
Tony Lansford.
Yeah, there you go, right? Kent Herbeck, Ron Gant. We don't need to see the modern players on those cards.
There are some designs where you're going to have to throw it out, like 79 hockey, where it has a huge prominent hockey stick on it. Okay, sure. Don't use that one. But 85 Topps football, 86 Topps football, there's no reason you can't use the green and white yellow border.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Sure. Or even, if you want to use 79 Topps hockey, make it so you got that slanted with a baseball helmet in the corner. You still have the theme idea, however, it's not a hockey stick. Or you use the old photos of like Tom Glavine in skates that Score used in 92,
I believe.
93, somewhere in there. Because these guys have hobbies, and that would be a thing that I'd like to see too. With baseball seemingly having an issue marketing its superstars. Not that tomorrow's game isn't going to help. I'm totally watching. But show us some of their personalities. What do they do in the off season? What is Juan Soto a huge football fan? Is this guy a huge soccer fan? Or do they do motorsports? Give us something into an insight of what these players do outside of play baseball.
Are you asking for 92 Studio to come back? Yeah.
That's kind of where I was stealing some of the.
I would love a set like that. But you think about over the years, you've got the card. Some of the more iconic, we've talked about this before, is thrown around, quite regularly, and there's really only one cardboard icon. But you think about cards that
best Ben.
Yes, you think about cards that are really important and fun over the years. You've got Nolan Ryan throwing a football. You've got Eric Lindros, playing baseball in the '90s score set. You've got Glavine hitting with a hockey. You've got all the when you see things like crossovers like that. You've got the Deion Sanders where he's stealing a base, but as he's stealing it, he's a football player running off. You
got Michael Jordan playing baseball. Oh wait, that actually happened. Yeah. Scratch
but
that.
You did
Drew Hansen.
You did have his 91 upper deck before he played baseball. He was taking batting practice. So
batting practice at Old Comiskey.
Quick note: once the Cub hopped into the YouTube chat, says that Jesus Aguilar is the lowest in Topps Living at 14-17, but Mark Melanson is number 2. So he got him by 25 cards.
Somewhere in there. Sure.
So the products releasing this week, guys, is going to be the 2021 Panini National Treasures Basketball, dropping today. Comes to you at a price of approximately $4,025.
So we're all packed buying this, right? I've got my box ready to go.
One pack, if that's what you want to call it, one box, whatever, and you get 10 cards. You should get 4 autos, 4 mems, a printing plate, a base or a base parallel. To say this is a high-end hit-driven product would be a slight understatement.
Sure.
Also, another interesting product is Topps 2021 Tops Luminaries coming out today, just right around $395, $400 a box. 1 pack, 1 card. Yes, 1 card. But it does appear that every auto is numbered 15 or less, and every mem card is 20 or less. Does have a decent checklist, but let it be somebody else's issue. Go out and get your favorite guy. If you really decide that this is something that you want to add to your PC, let it be somebody else's. I mean, there's probably enough hits in there that are going to well eclipse $400, but that's a serious gamble.
Love that idea. What if they took images from the ball player's social media and had them printed on the cards? Kind of idea I had rattling in the back of my head, and then one of the guys that I collect, Luis Rise, is frequently posting what he's cooking or what his kids are doing or a picture of the family. Put one of those up.
Especially last year with COVID, really hitting, to see some of these players in their home life. Josh Reddick, a former Athletic and Red Sox and Diamondback and Astro, big wrestling fan, and to see some of his antics with wrestling and whatnot would have been an interesting card. Releasing today is Tops Allen and Ginter. Got pushed back a few times. Steph, I know you and Angela love this. It's 24 packs in a box. You get 8 cards. There are a 300 card base set along with 50 short prints. All of your favorite parallels, the Silver Hot Box, the Rip cards, the box toppers are all returning. Some of the notable celebrities and non-baseballs are Kim Ng, the first female GM in baseball. Trevor Lawrence, the #1 overall pick to the Jaguars in the NFL. Uncle Larry, which is Andrew McCutcheon's alter ego. Randall Cunningham and Jason Biggs, who we added because Steph said that they're notable.
We previously interviewed couple of years now ago, Biggins, Mike, not quite the same Biggs, but this guy more prominently known for American Pie, obviously, but a couple other comedies from the mid-90s, late 90s.
So a couple of notable insert sets, rallying back animals who have improved their conservation status over the last few years.
Love that idea.
Named after our very own Dub. We have the Deep Sea Shiver. It's a shark set.
You're getting all of
Deep Sea Shiver.
Is that how we're going to pronounce
it?
That's
what it is. Yeah.
So is that what it is?
Deep Sea Shiver. Yeah.
Okay, so it's sharks. It's not pictures of Dub and with his what was it? A pink flamingo floaty from a couple of summers ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not. I checked the checklist.
I mean, that would be a heck of an insert set for AG. I'd be willing to give it a run.
I'm just saying, if Mark Mosley wanted to hand draw one of those, I'm in.
Right, there you go. It'll be done, I'm sure. Mark likes to make fun of me. So
come on, Tops. Let's get a podcaster mini set in Ginter.
Memorial Appreciation is a set for tree enthusiasts, and Birds of a Feather features parrots. So lots of fun stuff in Allen and Ginter. If that is your cup of tea, Rip cards are going to feature all kinds of stuff from cloth and metal minis like they normally do.
No, I do love that, much like 07, 08. Yeah, actually, it's a say here. 2008, 2009 basketball. They brought back the T51 Murad, which would feature like a college team with an athlete on the side. But in this case, they're using like Texas for Nolan Ryan. And there are silks of these, which I really want to see in hand. Framed cloth. Sue me.
Yeah.
But it's one of our favorite sets.
Good looking card. There's Ricky Henderson in that one, so I'm pretty stoked. 2021 Panini Immaculate Collegiate Football drops Friday, $6.75 a box, 1 pack, 6 cards a pack. You're supposed to get 4 autos, 1 mem, 1 base, or parallel, and this will be your opportunity to collect the first premium and RPAs of the 2021 NFL Draft class. So there's your chance to get some Trevor Lawrence stuff and all of the other great quarterbacks, Zach Wilson and Trey Lance and Justin Fields and Mac Jones and all of the running backs and offensive linemen that your little heart can desire. So,
what about 5th round kickers?
Those guys too. You just got to check the checklist. 2021 Panini Prism Baseball drops on Friday, about $260 a box. You're going to get 12 packs in a box, 12 cards in a pack. A box should net you 3 autos, 3 silver prisms, 4 blue prisms, 5 red prisms, and 3 numbered prisms. Color Blast is coming back for a second year. It's a super short print 10-card insert, and they also added a new ultra rare SSP, the Lava Flow. So there's a 250 card.
This is.
That is the color blast there. Or is that the lava?
I believe this is the lava. Yeah,
lava. 250 card base set. I believe the first 100 cards are base, tier 1. The next 100 would be tier 2, and the final 50 would be tier 3, with each level increasing in difficulty to pull, just like the last couple of years that they've done that. Also releasing this week, 2021 Panini Select.
Look at that list of parallels.
Oh,
yeah, there's good 15, 20.
All of
30.
a sudden, yeah, now it's a 3-hour show. 2021 Panini.
They did drop the box of crayons to start picking them up to name some of these.
Some of them are pretty cool looking, though. The giraffe, and hey. Panini Select H2 UFC drops today. Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn of Majesty Booster drops Friday. Something called 2021 Super Break One-Time Multi-Sport Buyback. Okay? Drops on Friday. 2020, the 2020-2021 Upper Deck Extended Series Hockey Fat Pack drops on 8/13. 2021 Tops UEFA Stadium Club Chrome Soccer drops on Friday, and then Tops 206 Wave 6 out of 10 online only release dropped this week. All scheduled release dates are subject to change, but were current as of this morning. MSRP pricing and product details were gathered from blowout cards, again subject to change. Check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more details on these new releases. What is slated to release next week? We have 2020-2021 Upper Deck Extended Series Hockey Blaster on the 18th. 2020 and 2021 Upper Deck Allure Hockey also on the 18th. Something called 2021 Super Break Super Duper Series 2 on the 20th. I literally put Washington football team, WTF does this even mean? No clue what that is, but it was on the list. 2021 Panini Immaculate Baseball, 2021 Panini Spectra Basketball, Panini Elements Football, and Topps Chrome Baseball, Hobby and Jumbo all drop on August 20th. So wouldn't surprise me if some of that stuff gets moved around, but we'll see. So on to the infield chatter, the hobby talk section. Just a quick update. Last week, we talked about the Topps National Baseball Card Day, which included both in-store giveaways as well as stadium giveaways. The 2021 Topps National Baseball Card Day took place in stores on Saturday, August 7th. And then the stadium giveaways started right around that time, and they're running actually through the 15th. So through this weekend, you'll need to check your particular favorite team or local team to see when that date was or when it is. So did either of you guys get a chance to go into an LCS and participate in this?
We did. We hit our most local shop. Got a couple packs of, not Ginter, but Gypsy Queen, as were. We were searching for an insert. The captains had just happened to pull the Max Kepler out of our third pack. So huge props. Thank you. Done with Ginter, Gypsy Queen. We got our 2 packs, and they gave us a choice of Alex Baum or Tatis. Fernando Tatis. So we split the difference and got one of each. And we'll see them this weekend to do the same.
I didn't make it Saturday, but I went to my local shop Sunday. We had something going on Saturday, and he honored my purchase and gave me a choice of Baum and Tatis. And aside from Tatis being what felt like the obvious choice, I can't pick a Philly anyway. But also got one of the packs had Joey Gallo on top. I haven't opened it. I was just going to leave it sealed. But picked up a box of Diamond Kings, Steph. Little disappointed I didn't hit any retired player. I got a current player relic and a current player autograph.
Did see that.
But did pick up a couple of packs of Stadium Club and also Gypsy Queen, as you mentioned. And so I picked up 1 pack of Stadium Club and 3 packs of Gypsy Queen, and I got 1 auto in my Stadium Club pack. It was
nice.
Taylor Jones, Houston Astros rookie. So
I forgot. I I did try 2 packs of 96 Finest. I believe 96 Finest. Because why not? Cheap enough. And then since Dub's on,
I bought 2 singles too for $1.
Oh,
and
the
this is
baseball
headed
player.
his way.
Can't go wrong with Jordans.
The White Sox player.
Yeah. Hey, there it is.
Short
Andrew
the Twins.
Jones.
This is headed his way.
Sweet.
With Andrew Jones on the side, 97 score. Got Frank Thomas, Griffey, Piazza, Juan Gonzalez, Andrew Jones as a rookie on the side, and Jeff Bagwell.
Sweet. I think there's going to be a 51 Tops wrapper in there too, I think is what I heard.
No. If you'd like, next time Roger comes by, I can grab you one.
Yeah, if he has one, duh.
He had like 20, so.
Yeah, I would also like one, along with those 87 Maguires that have been on my mind since Dub mentioned those at the beginning of the show. It's
real conflicting feelings about that one. So.
And of course, I'm going to put that one right on top. So I did find interesting on these. They have little team dividers.
Ah,
interesting.
Okay.
Nice.
Pre-built in the box. That's a nice touch.
Nice. So, yeah. Hopefully you got a chance to get some of the free cards. If not, this promotion's went on for a few years now, so it'll be exciting to see what comes along the lines next August. So some sad, bittersweet news. I guess not sweet at all for the A's. Oakland A's outfielder Ramon Laureano was popped for PEDs and is now serving an 80-game suspension that will carry into the 2022 season. So a couple of questions. How does a suspension like this affect his, specifically, card market, but their card market? Just extrapolating that over to other players that had or will have suspensions similar to his.
So we, for the most part, really haven't been hit by this. We've had a couple minor leaguers and some one-off, relief pitchers or whatnots that cast-offs, essentially. But in a semi-related whatnots, Eddie Rosario, who's already been mentioned, did get hit for medicinal herbal treatments of a certain sort.
Seems legit.
And got suspended for practically most of a good chunk of a minor league season. Disagree or agree, whatever. That's not our place. But there were some fans that said, well, now that he's missed practically a portion of a season, does he come back? Does he still know how to hit? Either at the time he was still young, 18, 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there. Is he going to be the outfielder of the future? And as we found out, yes, sure. He does still make his boneheaded mistakes, and maybe now we know why. But as far as his card market goes, it did tank a bit there for a while, immediately afterwards, and I can only presume that somebody huge like Laureano gets hit for that. I mean, we have a few Oakland A's fan collectors here, and I'm sure that they're going to keep collecting because they're mostly teams that collectors. However, people that were maybe looking at him as some sort of Cespedes type would want to dump his cards if they haven't already. I can see that.
I think, I feel like, what the concern you have looking at a player like Laureano, when you take the era that we all know and love from the late 90s and Maguire and Bonds and Canseco and A-Rod and those guys, they were just written off. I mean, in the hobby. I mean, we collect them because, that's what we grew up with. And you're an A's guy, so you collect Canseco and Maguire. And, but those guys were and I'm not saying that the scenarios are the same. What Laureano is doing is what Maguire was doing. What I'm saying is it feels like once you're kind of hit with that, there's always going to be that question. Even if he comes back next year, if he has a season and goes on a run, hits 45 homers. There's that baggage, that comes with
Right.
it, and so it feels like, when you think about football and baseball both, when you've had guys who've been hit with those type of things for whatever reason, people that agree morally or not, or people that don't like the teams or whatever the case may be, those guys take hits, and we can look back fondly on our guys and say, hey man, these guys at the time, we didn't know.
Sure.
We were 13, 14, 15. We didn't care. We didn't know. But I mean, if you look at the market, their eligibility for the Hall of Fame, all the different things that can kind of set value in motion towards the end of a career. Will Laureano have that opportunity? Even if he bounces back and goes on to have a stellar career. I don't know, because like Steph said, we've only seen this in a couple of, relievers or a fourth outfielder or something or a guy who's taking it just to kind of hang on. And they're not really anybody that had a card market to begin with. So this will be an interesting study, I believe, but it does feel like, when you think about the big names in the past who are now tainted with that, it's hard to imagine, it affecting his cards positively in the long run.
Well, and I mean, it's always acceptable not to like Alex Rodriguez, even if he is the owner of my basketball franchise. But I mean, look at what happened towards the end of his career. He maybe had an outside stretch at the all-time record, and then he sits out the majority of a season, of a season, practically, I think. But two, I also think that sets a good benchmark and brings a bigger spotlight on the players who did it right. Guys like Jim Thome, who seemingly never had any concerns as far as what medications he was taking, but still matched 600 plus.
Yeah, I think
a big old country boy.
The stigma follows, right?
Sure.
2019, pre-2019, Jose Altuve is potentially a Hall of Fame second baseman. Perhaps the best second baseman since who? Jeff Kent? Chase Utley?
Jeff Blauser?
Yeah, Ian Kinsler. I mean, there were some, but not many. And Altuve comes along, and he's not your prototypical player as far as his height goes. And 2019, he's a cheater. 2020 comes along, and he has a really bad year. Is it COVID related, or is it because he's not cheating anymore? And you look at it and go, all right, well, those quantitative stats are telling me that something's fishy. Now all of a sudden 2021 comes around and he's bounced back. So did he never truly need them and it was just a slight edge? We don't know. 2020 is an aberration, and you can relate that to COVID perhaps, like a lot of players.
Sure.
Or is he cheating again? And that's the thing, is the fact that we have to question whether or not he's playing clean is all you need to know. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Laureano's going to be known as a cheater for the remainder of his career. And in a lot of A's Facebook groups, there's a lot of people that are posting pictures of Laureano who came from the Astros organization before he came to Oakland. And it's like, see, that's why, the tongue-in-cheek, let's make fun of him because he's an Astro. But yeah, I mean, the funny thing is I actually had two bids on eBay that closed right after this, and both of them were Laureano. One was the missing nameplate or the font script on Gypsy, and the other one was the 3D. And like the Larry David gif where he's just kind of like looking around like he's questioning something. Like, it's like literally like right after both of them closed within an hour. They both happen to be Laureano. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. Just the timing of it was funny. I don't think it affects me personally because I'm an A's team collector.
Sure.
But I think for speculators, because if he gets popped again, he's gone for a year. You get popped again, that's the ball game.
Sure.
That's your career. So But we also know baseball is really heavily on young upcoming players, and even guys like Tatis and Acuna, they'll cool off at some point because other players will come in and take their place. It's just the way it goes, right? It's like a bus. Somebody's sitting on that bus for a while, but eventually they're going to get off the bus and somebody else is going to take their seat, and the bus will continue on their day. And, you know, cardboard icons, Ben Aguirre had said it with Vlad Jr. Are we not doing him this year?
Apparently.
You know, I think that was last year, right? Because he was so hot and heavy in 19, and then last year, kind of a down year again, could be COVID related. We're seeing him have an MVP type season this year. It had triple crown perhaps, you know, if not for Ohtani going on a home run tear. But again, you know,
look at one of the guys me and the shop owner talked about Sunday. We were talking about, you know, prospects and this and that and the other. And one of the guys that I always go back to is Jose Abreu. If you remember, back in 4 or 5 years ago, Jose Abreu was the guy.
Sure.
And look at his career stats; they are good.
Yeah,
he is not a bad player. He's hit 35 homers.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he could live up to what his prospect was. But if you had told me, hey, you're going to have a first baseman for the next 6 years that's going to hit 30 homers a year and hit 280 and average 105 RBI, what do you want? What more do you want?
Yeah,
I mean, that is a dang fine career that he's having, but he's not the hot young, you know, guy hitting 35 homers. His 35 homers are different than Vlad Jr.'s 35 homers.
Sure.
And it's rookie of the year, 1 MVP, averages 38 doubles, 33 home runs, 115 RBIs, and 290 batting average. Sorry.
I mean, listen to those. I mean, that's average over his career. I mean, that is.
He's a Hall of Fame candidate if he comes over to the majors 5 years earlier. I think he's not going to get enough of the qualifying stats.
He's 34, sure.
But Abreu can go into that same bucket that Pujols and Miguel Cabrera are in, where it's, you know, these guys are bona fide Hall of Famers.
Right.
But no, the hobby doesn't care about them in the same way. And you can, you know, I know we hate pitchers because it's the speculation aspect, but Kershaw and Verlander and Scherzer and so many other guys that are right, you know, even that next tier down, because there's only so many elite players.
Sure.
The hobby just tends to not care as much. And again, name any player that's hot over the last 3 years, and eventually their name will add to that bucket. Mm-hmm. And they'll get their members only jacket of the hot name that isn't anymore. Looking at you, Aaron Judge, who might be the great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Aaron Judge might be the grandfather of this new era that ushered in this new speculative market, because it was really his rookie year in 2017 that really, really took off, and we started seeing just a lot of nonsense with the Bowman prices, and everybody had to have one. And
yeah, I think he was the one that set all this off. I mean, at 17.
Yeah,
but you know, on my team, I can't figure out, and I don't want it to change because I can still find them, regularly. But I mean, Freddie Freeman. I mean, the hobby does not bat an eye at Freddie Freeman.
No,
and you can get Bowman Chromes for $10, $12, $20.
Goldschmidt, Arenado.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, these are the guys who are carrying teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not flashy, you know.
Look at the All-Star. Look at the All-Star game, yeah, and set aside any player that's under 3 years, the Tatises and Guerreros, and take some of the flash in the pans or guys that have had really good seasons as of late, like an Adam Frazier, for instance, that doesn't belong in that same conversation with some of the elite players, and go, man, the hobby doesn't care about these guys, and they're literally here in the All-Star game every year, and they're in Cy Young races every year, top 10, top 15, MVP races, leading qualifying stats, whether it be batting average and home runs and RBI and all of these things year over year over year, and the hobby doesn't care because they're not Adley Rutschman. Yeah, they're not.
I mean,
Austin
what
Martin.
if I told you right now, as a non-baseball card collector, as a fan of the Oakland A's, and you drafted Wander Franco, and I said Wander Franco is going to have is going to give you Trey Turner numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would take that all day long.
Every day.
But who's going after Trey Turner?
Yeah.
I mean,
24, 77, 300.
You look at a guy, and honestly, Trey Turner might be the MVP in the National League now that DeGrom's out and Tatis is out, and there was another big name player that's out. Acuna is out, and Trey Turner Trey Turner might have been like the fourth guy in the MVP race if all of these dudes are healthy. But now he might, and he gets traded at midseason, and the hobby just doesn't care. And it's apropos for where we're at.
But we saw a slight uptick in sales for Trey Turner after his slide last night. So
that was slick.
That was pretty sweet slide. I've seen it enough by now, but it was pretty sweet.
So
do you think Jason Dominguez is going to beat Aaron Judge? Is that? I mean,
well, Shep loved the argument about Adley Rutschman, or excuse me, not Rutschman, Joey Bart to Buster Posey, because Bart was outselling Posey by a considerable measure. If I'm going out to get one or the other, I can get Posey all day long for a lot less money. I could probably, his first Bowman auto, probably buy a Posey and pay my mortgage payment, or get a Joey Bart at one point in time. If Bart turns out to be the next Posey, Giants fans are going to take that every day of the week.
No doubt.
And to your point, we make fun of a guy like Harold Baines a lot for not being a Hall of Famer and how he kind of snuck in the back door, which he did. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you would take Harold Baines every single year of that man's career on your team because he was a great player. Hall of Famer, no. But and that's the thing, is there's so many players and the hobby just doesn't care. And that just speaks to the speculative aspect of things, by and large, snapshots. So I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this next one. Steph, you might be able to give exact insight. Aaron Jaffe or Yaffe, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, at Yo Jaffe, Jaffe.
GIF, guys, so it's understandable. Just let it.
Oh, dear Lord. He asks, is it common to have a player on two teams in the same set? So Texas Rangers pitcher Dane Dunning had a base card in Gypsy Queen this year where he was featured on the Texas Rangers. He also has a 2021 Gypsy Queen auto where he's featured on the Chicago White Sox. Now, Dunning was traded from the White Sox to the Rangers on December 8th, 2020. So is this just a circumstance of not having enough time to have Dunning re-sign a batch of Rangers autos, and then we just toss the White Sox autos out with tomorrow's trash if we're Tops? These were on-card autos. But one thing to keep in mind, Gypsy Queen was pushed back from an earlier release. I think it's usually slated around April or May, and it didn't come out until July this year. So it might have been that Tops just didn't have the time that they thought they were going to have after the trade to get Dunning to sign new cards, or maybe they didn't care. So what are your thoughts, Steph? Is this something that we've seen before? And is it just a product of the calendar dictating we can change the base, but we can't go get him to sign a bunch of new autos?
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely does happen. I mean, when I first read the question, I didn't know that one of them was an auto. I immediately thought to Gary Carter in 91 Upper Deck. If you consider the final edition part of that, he's featured, I think, 3 times, including, of course, card 666. But you're seeing that there's an auto. I mean, there's a certain portion of that that's this year and 2020. With everything going on, that it's understandable that some of these things are going to happen. That they probably had one of it done, and then once they actually got the printing press time to do the other half, they updated it real quick. It's one of those things that I would love to see. When did they go to press for the print sheets? When did they go to press to have these done? But also, as a few people have pointed out, that it's happened before, not even just in the last couple of years, wherein either between Series 1 and Series 2 an update is featured a couple times, or, of course, updates, obviously, where that's supposed to happen, but like within the same release. or especially in the olden days, when they'd have 6, 7 series, it would be easy to update that. But it's interesting, and I kind of like seeing it that it's now a thing again. That that they updated inset.
I have a card, a little different scenario, but I posted it last year or 2 years ago. It's from 1920 Prism basketball. It's a relic.
So like 2019. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's Enos Cantor, and it's a relic card. He was wearing the Blazers jersey. It has a Celtics logo, and it has an Oklahoma City Thunder relic. And it's like, what's going on? But he played for all three teams. And so all three teams are represented on that one card. And it's like, okay.
One of the best cards ever. We feature that on the show.
Yeah.
You might even have been on to talk about it when it happened. But,
I believe so, yeah.
That was a phenomenal card. And, so it happens. To answer the guy's question from Twitter, it does happen. It's probably just a product of this product was supposed to come out in April.
There it is.
And product's supposed to come out in April, and we got to get these cards into Dane's hands in this, January. Get them back.
Knicks, not the Thunder, my bad. So it's a Knicks jersey, Blazers picture, and a Celtics card
with a gold background.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with any of those teams. That's amazing. A good-looking card. It's fun. To me, that's why we collect. It's something different, right?
It's one. I don't have any Enos Cantor cards. That's one I'm going to keep. So it's pretty cool.
It's one that I would go out if I was a basketball collector and pursue because it's fun. It's different.
30 years from now, like everybody's jumping over themselves for the Hoops card that had the Menendez brothers on it. Everybody's going to say, "Hey, there's that Enos Cantor card." It's going to be like this big thing,
and you'll be a dollar heir, and you can sell that sucker for $8, man. So, our good buddy Brian Gray, Leaf CEO at Leaf CEO on Twitter says, "Oh baby, the NIL era begins. ... now." And that's next in line. August 6th, Brian and Leaf tweeted that a Spencer Rattle, did I say that correctly? Is it
Rattler?
Or it's Rattler. Sorry, excuse me. I have it here without the R. That's a mistype. His rookie card was available to purchase. It is print to order, still available through August 15th. The card is on the old Pro Set design. Rattler is a 20-year-old quarterback from Oklahoma. Is he eligible for the 2022 draft?
I believe so, yeah, because he was a sophomore last year. So that puts him in a junior this year.
So is he our odds-on favorite to be following Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence's footsteps as far as being the number one pick?
There's some good – there's a couple of good quarterbacks that are in that discussion right now. Rattler is one. But he's not the hands-down guy yet.
Okay. So he could probably be top 3, top 4 at the very least.
Oh yeah,
assuming he stays healthy.
He's in the group of like this group that's in now. Trey Lance, Justin Fields, the group of 3 or 4 this year. Trevor Lawrence, he's in the group of 3 or 4.
Okay, so here's your opportunity now to go out and get his first rookie card. It's on Pro Set. There's not much better when it comes to football than an old Pro Set design. And
I love the Pro Set design.
Yeah, we gave Brian Gray and his team at Leaf a lot of praise for bringing that back to the hobby and acquiring those rights. So you have until the 15th to decide if you want. I do not have a price point handy. I do apologize. But what are your guys' thoughts on the NIL releases in general as a positive for the hobby or a negative perhaps?
Well, I think it'll be fun. I mean, the NIL in general is something that, I believe it was probably necessary to move forward.
$7.99.
But I also believe that there's some regulation on the back end that's going to have to come into play that for all of this to kind of settle down and not have some random car salesman paying, players to go to a team. But the ability for players to be out there like Spencer Rattler is And I know some of the Georgia guys have signed with T-shirt companies and logo companies and et cetera. The level of popularity in college football and pro football, I believe there's a bigger divide in college football and pro football than just about any other sport when it comes to college to professional. Because there's a lot of people who only love college football, and there's a lot of people who only love the NFL. And when you can tap into that college fandom and offer people cards, that's what Panini's able to do with the draft pick stuff.
Sure,
it offer people cards of their favorite player in their college uniform. I mean, I know that values typically have not translated over the years. A Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville autograph is going to be more valuable than a Clemson autograph in the end of the day. But for me, I'd rather have a Stafford, Georgia autograph
see, but
than a Lions autograph.
But see, if you're a Clemson guy,
well, true, yeah,
the Clemson autograph.
But from a value standpoint, draft picks, Prism draft picks always lags behind Prism. From a value, I know that people love to collect it, and I do. I mean, I'm one of the biggest college guys there is, so I love it. But for years it has been the Zion Williamson Pelicans Prism is more valuable than the Zion Williams Duke Prism, and that's just the way it's carried itself. But I think the demand is there. And now that you've got people who are still in college, which Leaf has gone before college before with their All-American stuff. Sure. I've got Nick Chubb and I have a Trevor Lawrence jersey from the All-American game before they ever went into college. So Leaf has been able to go back even to high school with the perfect game baseball set.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that they're the ones that are able to get some of this stuff done. But I think it's, I'm not necessarily a print to order guy. I'd rather, buy cards, at shops and packs and things. But, if the right thing hits the market, I'd jump all over a Georgia guy, in that situation.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see because obviously the football guys and the basketball people are going to get a lot of attention, but I'm really interested to see the type of name, image, license deals that like the college lacrosse team gets, or even more so like the women's hockey teams or that women's basketball even. What sort of deals and how those compare per se? I mean, if you have a top basketball star, top number one prospect, freshman, sophomore, junior season, what's the Deckers page?
Oh yeah.
Wonderful basketball player that's currently in college. Why aren't you going to take a run at her?
Right.
Have her included in a couple sets. I mean, and
think about Ionescu, 2 years ago or a year ago, she would have been
sure.
huge. But one of the questions I have about this whole thing is, let's say, I don't know what the particulars are of what is the NIL is between Leaf and Spencer Rattler. When he graduates or when he goes pro, Panini is the NFL licensed company. Where does the split happen with if Rattler is in an NIL with Leaf? Is that a year-to-year thing, or is that or are they signing them to like a 5-year deal, or what? I don't know the specifics, and I wonder how that crosses over. Let's say a freshman comes in and Leaf signs them for 4 years, or they go pro after 3. Sure. What happens to that rookie year, with Panini? It's going to be. I think there'll be some interesting things that kind of play out. But I mean, we already have the, stuff where Upper Deck had Ben Simmons, and companies have.
Hopefully, there's some lawsuits, because then that'll keep our buddy Paul Lesko busy and that's always a good day in the hobby when he goes on a 20 tweet thread rant about what's going on between Upper Deck and Panini over some word called Candy Crush, or he's always got some fun stuff. But NIL is probably here to stay. 5 years from now, it'll still be around.
Sure.
Good for Spencer Rattler to be able to capitalize on his name. I mean, could you imagine a world in which a guy like Tim Tebow or Johnny Manziel had an opportunity to do this? What was it, the Ohio State guys? I think Cam Newton and other guys got popped for trading
Todd Gurley.
Other memorabilia for tattoos and stuff. And
Todd Gurley got suspended 4 games the year that we lost a game to not make the SEC championship for selling his own autograph.
Yeah, it's
so I mean,
ridiculous.
A lot of things would have changed, and I think it was necessary. I think it needed to happen, but the only worry I have is that it becomes the Wild West somehow. I hope
there'll have to be oversight and regulation. There'll have to be, because otherwise you're going to have lawsuits flying every which way between players and leagues and conferences and professional leagues get involved. And if I'm Oklahoma and Alabama, I don't care how much money I have, I'm not fighting the NFL in court. And if I'm some kid that turns out to be like a Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love who have to ride the pine for a little while and maybe don't have such a fruitful NFL career, turn into the next Blake Bortles, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fighting it.
The players that I really feel like it helps, and we've heard these stories before of a player who, I'm thinking of an Auburn running back right off the top of my head, but players who are really good in college, but they leave a year too early.
Sure.
Because they almost have to. It's like, they still get that signing bonus, but that 1 year of college, one more year may have taken them from a 4th round pick to a 2nd round pick or even a 1st round pick. Mm-hmm. But that prospect of, $500,000 is more important than the prospect of next year might be $1 million or $1.1 million. So I think it's going to help. College kids need money just like everybody else. Yeah, you look at. I mean, I can buy somebody's lunch at Georgia. I can buy if I've got a friend whose kid goes to Georgia and I go up there to visit. Hey, let me buy your lunch. I can't go up there and buy lunch for JT Daniels.
No,
you know what I'm saying? It's just
and a coach can't either without it being in violation of laws. And it's like, if the 3 of us are going out to lunch tomorrow, and I got it this time, you guys get it. One of you guys get it next time. No big deal. So if I go to school with Dave Smith, and Dave happens go to high school with him, and he goes off to be a college superstar, and I go and, hey Dave, let me grab your lunch, man. It's good seeing you. Good seeing an old friend. The National was last week, and how many people are buying each other lunches with people that they've never met before, haven't seen in 2 years because we didn't have a National. What the hell is the difference? I'm buying Dave Smith just because now he's a star quarterback at UCLA. Why can't I still say, hey, Dave, I got your McDonald's, or it's just it's good that these players are finally going to be able to capitalize on their own brand. I'm not a college guy at all. I can't stand college football and basketball. Before I get roasted, I grew up in Sacramento. I got Sac State up the road. I got UC Davis up the road. If I go up the road a lot further, I got Berkeley and Stanford.
How far are you from the banana slugs?
I got some outside. I got 2 little ones. I got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old.
I think that's UC Santa Barbara.
I'm a ways away. Santa Barbara probably be about a 5 to 6 hour drive. That's down in Ivan's neck of the woods, down in SoCal.
My final point for this.
Just real quick before you move. It's cool that now Spencer Rattler and other players will have an opportunity. And if I am a college guy, if I do collect Oklahoma, I have an opportunity to get his stuff now as a freshman, as a sophomore, junior. I got an extra 3 to 4 years to collect my favorite players, because we do know that regardless of where these guys go in professional football and basketball, for those of you out there that are college people, I don't have to tell you this. Those are your guys forever and ever. Amen. Until the day that they retire, those are your guys and gals.
Even
you
then.
know, yeah, I'm following this guy because that was my Georgia quarterback, period. I don't care what team he plays for. Where in Major League Baseball, you don't get that. Your favorite player gets traded, and then that loyalty to a degree dies, especially if they go to a rival within your division or your league. You know,
just like you said before, you're a McGuire guy, but you don't necessarily chase his Cardinal stuff.
No, I'll grab his A&D stuff this year as a Cardinal, but yeah, I'll limit it to just the 4 or 5 cheapest cards, at least the base, the mini, and the silver hot box parallel. That's it. And that's a whole nother discussion. When I looked at that checklist today and I saw that he was a Cardinal, I was like, because Stadium Club cost me so much. And anyway, we as hobbyists should not be rooting for the fact that our players are not in the checklist or with the wrong team that we don't choose to collect. That's the wrong. This is a hobby. We should be pissed when we see that he's not. But anyway, Steph, what was your final point before we move on?
Yep, final point for this. One, I would love to see some sort, like Deb was alluding to, some sort of legislation to limit how soon a player can get some sort of name, image license. I know Panini may have the under 12 Team USA stuff. Personally, I think that's a little too young. Cut it off at high school. But then you have a kid like the kid from Texas here, where he's 17 and skipped the senior year of high school to go to college to start his time for the name image license for, I forget which college he went to.
Ohio State, I think.
Ohio State, that's right. Thank you. I knew it was a huge one. Just to start that time clock. And personally, I think that's, finish high school. Finish high school and stay in college as long as you can. Get that degree, because you never know. For 3 or 4 years down the road, you've blown up both knees and you're out of the league. What do you have that's marketable?
And football especially, from the physical aspect, your body is so much different at 18 than it is at 22.
Sure.
You see it every year when you're looking at preseason. You know, Georgia. I follow Georgia so close, and you see James Cook when he was a freshman, and then a picture of James Cook came up last week, at practice, and he looks like, Incredible Hulk, and you're like, 3 years in the strength and conditioning program at Georgia has done this, but when you're 17 and you decide, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go to college, your body's going to be so far behind those guys that are already there that you're going to put yourself. Some players are transcendent, but most of the time you're going to put yourself behind just by being there a year early.
Well, socially, physically, and everything else. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen the picture comparison of freshman year versus senior year. Freshman year is a picture of Trae Young and Luka Doncic, and senior year is a picture of Vince Carter and Dirk Nowitzki, and how much you've aged. And yeah, it's tongue in cheek. It's funny to look at, but there's some truth there. How much bigger, stronger, more mature on every level. In theory, if we're just going based on the law of averages, that the average person is going to get, and that development time is needed, especially in football when it's such a physical sport, and that's why they have that 3-year rule. And
football is one of those things that I watch high school football on a Friday night, and then I'll watch a college game on Saturday, and then you watch a pro game on Sunday, and your mind cannot fathom seeing one of those guys from Friday night on TV Sunday
in 4 years
with one of those guys. You're like, he's nowhere near ready, despite how athletic and physically talented they are. There's just a part of you that it's just growth. The years from 17 to 22, 23, what your body does is it changes tremendously. So I think, like Steph said, I think you got to have some. You don't want people just fleeing high school so they can start making money in college. There has to be.
But you have people in, you got the Uncle Dennis's of the world in Kawhi's ear, that are there saying, "Hey, Dub, come on, man, go this year. Yeah, you're guaranteed to be a first round pick. Look at you, man, you're awesome." And next thing you know, you go undrafted, and you're like, where's that guy that said that? Oh, Ben's not around anymore because Ben's not getting. There's no pie to go around. He's not getting his slice, and now Mike.
So he's on the tail of the next guy.
Yeah.
He's
career trajectory is all shot. But so we got a couple more topics I want to get to. I know we're pushing towards 2 hours at this point. Let's kind of quickly touch this one because this guy is a listener, and I think we've beaten this topic to death. His tweet was "Comp police can kick sand at big worms." His basic point was a seller can ask whatever they want for a card. If you don't like the price, you can make an offer. No need to post recent comps as if you're the buyer trying to show the seller where they're wrong. If you can think you can find it cheaper elsewhere, do it. If the seller will drop their price, great. If not, that's just the way it is. At some point, I mean, comps has become an adjective. It's become a Bible word. Comps are guides, nothing more. Sellers are going to be sellers. Buyers are going to be buyers. Everybody's trying to get the best deal they can for themselves. Understand comps aren't as static as A equals B equals C. Just because the last two sold for $100 each doesn't mean the next one's worth $100. You have to consider all types of known and unknown variables, including the fact that there are now two buyers who are no longer in that market, rendering that third one perhaps less valuable because there's two less people that are fighting over it. So, any quick thoughts on that before we move? That was just more of a listener rant that doesn't need a lot of in-depth convo.
I mean, I saw this a lot during the card show this weekend where, oh, hey, I see you have a price for this. That's cool. But, however, if you look on it, but that's not what he's asking. The person can compare it to eBay all they want, but the seller has no, he's not beholden to what the eBay sales are. Doesn't sell, that's his problem. However, they may have purchased it for what it recently sold on eBay. He wants to make some money. Nothing wrong with that.
I've always used comps as just a loose idea of what this is worth. If some have sold for 100, 120, 110, 115, 105, I'm like, okay, this is maybe $100 card. So I'm going to ask, around that. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a discussion about, this, what you're willing to pay and what I'm willing to take. But if I set a price for something, I'd rather just have the discussion about, what you're willing to offer, not, well, this one here sold for this. Well, that's fine. That's that one. This is the one I'm selling, and you're the buyer. Do you want to make an offer? Do you not? I'm not saying that my price is 100 firm. I mean, I'm trying to sell it for 100. What are you willing to give me for it? And I'll let you know if that's close.
And the seller sets the listed price. The buyer sets the fluid market and what it'll ultimately sell for. And my dad's famous line when he collected toy trains and he'd go to train shows and people are like, well, the price guide says it's worth this. His famous line was, hey, then let the price guide buy it. I'm here right now, cash money. You got that card for $100? Cool. Go put it up on eBay, deal with the fees, deal with the buyer, deal with shipping, deal with the post office, deal with all that crap. I got $80 for you right now. You want it or no? And some people will say, yeah, I'll take 80 cash in the hand right now. It's yours. Let's build a rapport. Maybe we can do business again down the road. Other people will be like, no, I'm 100 firm. And then the buyer has the choice of going to get their price elsewhere or walking away from the deal. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care what you collect. Toy trains, stamps, coins, it's a hobby. That you can't eat it, you can't drive it, you can't live in it. It does nothing to further you economically. It's just, in this case, it's just cardboard. It's okay to walk away. We don't need it. We want it. And oftentimes we confuse the difference. I need this. No, you need water. You need food. You need sleep. You need a job. you want all the 1987 Topps Maguires in existence. It just ain't going to happen. So, what would you rather own? Scott Stuber at Stuber_Scott on Twitter asked a question. I think he misworded the poll, but the basic gist is: would you rather own one 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle or 52 Playing Days Mickey Mantle cards, which would be from 53 to 69? He had 206 votes. 76% said they would rather have the 52 Mantle. The other 24% said they'd rather have 52 Mantles. I guess a lot of it depends on what are those 52 Mantles, because if it's 52 1953 Topps, that'd be hard to say no to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge bit to that. I mean, if you're offering me 52, 51 Bowman cards all day, every day, hand me all of those Bowmans. If we're talking like 68, 67 leader cards,
That's the thing, yeah.
But based on premise, I mean, sure, I'd take the 52 Mantle.
Yeah, same. On the surface, 52 Mantle all day.
Yeah.
It's like for most collectors, it should be the card that everybody wants. And, I take it to mean he's saying 52 spread out Mantles, over time.
The way he posted it, I've got 52 Mantles in my collection because he had insert sets in the 90s and 2000, 2010s, and he was in
2007 home run collection.
Yeah, that had all of them included, and what he finished with 563 or something like that.
536? No.
Yeah.
If you did, I mean, even if you're talking playing days,
and that's why I qualified with playing days.
I mean, I still think I want the 52 Mantle over 65. 52 1965 Mantles.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
so another interesting question which came at
I was right, 536
via at Junk Wax Breaks, not at Junk Wax Twins. Do you think card manufacturers put the best hits in the initial drop first wave of streeted products, or does it just seem that way since so much of it is opened up in the first week, 7 to 10 days? And then what benefit would it be for the manufacturer to do this versus a slower rollout?
So I love this question in that this pops up all the time for Junk Wax questions, in that usually that's where you see the errors is in the first runs, where they get corrected with a second printing, a third printing, a sixth printing as necessary. But I want to believe, and I know Topps has been kind of vague in the past as far as whether they intentionally overload some packs, some boxes, some cases. Where are the wood minis? Guys, come on. But also, it's just with the volume of stuff that's opened. I mean, my timeline has been filled with retail and hobby Ginter hits all day, every day. But in 3 weeks, I won't see any of that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's a bit of both. That Topps does make some boxes better than others, or some cases better than others. Some distributions may be a better phrasing. But also, it's just by happenstance, by odds. If everybody and their mother is breaking it, you're going to have some better boxes. Not every box is going to have a Babe Ruth relic. You might get a Trevor Lawrence.
I think it's a lot. I mean, we've all bought a new vehicle, right? Buy a new car. Sure. And some of us have even said on the car lot, like, I'm buying this because I don't see a whole lot of these around. And the next thing you know, because you now own one, that's all you see.
Yep.
A lot of it is just what's in your head, right? And if you scroll down, if you're in multiple Facebook baseball card, trading card related groups, and you scroll down through these on any given day, you would swear that retail blasters provide the best hits and the most consistent hits. And you're going to pull one out of every blaster box because everybody posts those time and time again. The thing is, again, we're not seeing the other 98% of blasters that you drop $20 on, or in this day and age now, you're dropping 2 to 3x on them. you're getting crap in your 7 or 8 packs. We're seeing, like Steph said, you're scrolling down right now, you're seeing nothing but Ginter. You're seeing nothing but whatever the flavor of the week is.
You're seeing a ton of rip cards, and you're thinking, does every box have a rip card? It's like, no, there's just a bunch of boxes being open right now.
It's almost like being in a relationship, right? When it's, I can't wait to spend time with you this weekend, honey. And then, when you're 10 years into a marriage and it's like, hey, we got a weekend alone without the kids. And then your wife is sitting on the couch Friday night, you're about to watch a movie, and she looks at you and go, hey, are you going to be breathing like that all this weekend? It's everything is nice during the romance, during that opening stages of a relationship. But then after a while, life sets in. We see it. We tend to believe that all of these hits are front loaded because exactly he answered his own question, because we're just seeing so much of it ripped in short succession. All of the breakers are breaking it. You're seeing so many hits posted. It's just the way it is. You're just seeing more of it for now. You'll see something else next week. Don't worry about it, And I don't think it's front loaded. And so frequency illusion, also known as, what is that, Bader-Meinhof phenomenon?
Didn't realize me did. Yep. Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, essentially cognitive bias, wherein after noticing something for the first time, there's a tendency to notice it more often, leading some to believe that it has a high frequency, a form of selection bias. Exactly what we're discussing here. You see it once, you start seeing it again and again. And to your point about the weekend, open the 10 box, we're going to get there already.
So, moving on, two more topics and a couple of shout outs at the end of the show. This one it was on Facebook. I scrolled right past it until I realized what I was seeing. I don't know if you've seen this picture of this Tua yet. Where's Waldo? Do you have the picture? I want Dub to take a look at this picture before we move on, if we can.
I'm trying to pull it up here. Yep.
See if you can tell why we would post this picture, and we do apologize for anybody that's listening and not visual. Here for just a moment, we'll explain what is significant about this card, because the person who owns the card was going to throw it in a dime box, dollar box.
Excuse me while I look it up here.
This is how Steph's brain works on a normal basis.
He found that 90 Fleer McGuire pretty quick.
He did.
Well, listen, it's a
he
whole
found your
lot easier
Enos
to search
Cantor
that.
pretty damn quick.
I mean, that was 2 years ago.
God forbid he has to scroll up, half a day in one group of DMs.
Hey, if you can find it, go ahead and share it. Otherwise, I'm going to pull up that Bowman Heritage tweet.
And this is the moment where this show fell off the rockers. We talk about the gray in Dub's beard, which seems to be new highlighting underneath.
Yeah, it's coming in, man.
It didn't seem like we had that there 3 months ago.
That's why I shave my head most of the time, so it just doesn't. The longer it gets, the grayer it gets. So
I was driving today, and I looked down, and I play with my goatee while I'm driving, and I saw white hair on my chest, and I'm like, who in the hell's been in my van? And how'd that end up on my chest? And then I realized,
yeah.
So this is 40.
This is 44.
You're a man. You're 40.
Yeah, I'm 42. My Bentley tells me that all the time whenever I'm like, hey, I'm a man. He's like, yeah, you're 40. I'm like, what a good little quarter of a guy. He has no idea who it is.
So here we go.
Okay.
Tweet.
All right, so here's this picture. Can you tell what is significant about this, Dub? I know it's strain your eyes.
Make it a little bigger, Steph. Don't give it away, but
so we're showing I don't know what exactly release this is.
I mean, this is like Illusions or something like that, I think.
Maybe out of Chronicles with the Panini insert. I would assume.
Take a look at the receiver that Tua's targeting. Take a look at his jersey.
Okay, I see something on the front of it, but I can't really tell from here.
So this is, if you're looking at it, if you're not, we're going to explain. This is a 1-of-1, which is stamped right on the player's jersey.
It looks like the jersey is ripped.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's got stitches on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a Facebook collector posted this and said he missed it initially while he was sorting. Like I said, he was going to just toss it in a dollar box or whatever. The 1/1 stamp is sideways. It's on the other player featured in there. It's right on his jersey and his jersey number. It's extremely difficult to see. Is there a worse placement for a numbering? I mean, just for numbering a card at all, I don't care if it's numbered out of 50, 250, whatever. I mean, it's sideways for one.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on a damn back of the card. And again, how many other 1/1s are out there in collections that have gone unnoticed due to this type of placement? Not just in Chronicles or whatever this came from, but there have been times where I'll get a baseball card in, and you look at the front of it, and then you look at the back of it and go, oh yeah, wait a minute, I know this is numbered, and I'm not that old.
Yeah.
And then you finally find it, and it's like, why is it not? Hey, if I buy a card and it says it's numbered out of 75, and I get it, and I'm having difficulty finding it.
Yeah.
That's bad.
This is something that I brought up.
1/1s on the timeline before that it's like, they're like, I had no idea until I, was just really looking at this card. But that one's one of the worst ones I've seen.
Which makes it awesome.
Did bring this up at Tops Q&A a few years back, where essentially I said that, I guess it would be 2019. You guys have all of these serial and the parallels and the colored versions and the non-colored versions and the harder to find super small serial, all ultra codes that we're not supposed to be using for that purpose, but that's essentially what we're using it for. Why don't you guys make it easy and use like a section of the back that's white and just write the number there?
So,
you guys used to do this. It's not that hard. Come on, make it easy. And at the time it was kind of self-serving, and that I used to work in the ID department for my company. But you wouldn't believe how many times something gets initially passed until it gets reviewed because of something similar to that. And Dub dropped. Bye, Dub.
So if you're out there and you're listening or watching, and you have a card in your private, your PC, or if you're familiar with a particular one that's out there that's a fun one for us to take a look at and talk about, shoot us some pictures or let us know where some poor numbering are visually hard to find, like on a player's jersey where it looks like it's part of his jersey. It doesn't have to be a 1/1, just one where it's like, dude, you could have picked a better position for that on the physical card. So as a collector, I'm not, it's like the old days, right? With the short prints in Heritage and whatnot, not knowing what they are and what I'm looking for. And now on the back, it says it's an action variation. Fantastic. So our final topic before we get to a couple of shout outs, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this one. The coffee card guy at collect COLLEC _sport on Twitter says the hobby dentist guy. Heading to the dentist for a cleaning, is there anything worse? What in the hobby would you compare to going to the dentist? A couple of the funny responses or poignant responses. Our very own Steph says tape and top loaders. Zeke NNAJISZN227 says, I thought it was Ninja at first, and I realized that's not what it is. Sometimes you go in for a cleaning, and then they find other problems. Mellow Vader 916 says pulling a 1/1 ... Deshaun Watson womp womp, and dark cards, or winning 2 Laureano auctions that you're excited for just 12 minutes ago when you placed the bids. Dark Card 66 says DM for price. So what was your equivalent? If you're going to the real dentist versus I'm going to the hobby dentist, what is the worst?
One of the things, and I'm probably guilty of all of these things to some degree, but the classic, did I do good? When you post a Fernando Tatis autograph, or the I heard this guy's pretty good, or look what I found, in a picture of your retail. That kind of stuff is what I consider. It makes me kind of cringe because I'm like, okay, we've all done this for 2 years now. So it was funny the first couple of times, but yeah, you did good, and you did. So, and now some people are doing it, with the all caps, the did I do good caps and under
The alternating
yeah,
cap, yeah.
and to make fun of it, yeah. But I mean, it's
Guilty.
that. Like I say, that type of stuff for me is where I'm like, okay, we get it.
This
But
guy's
like I say,
pretty okay, I
I've done
heard.
it before, so I mean, it's not like I'm not guilty, but it has gotten tiresome.
I'm the guy on the hill, and everybody who follows me on Twitter knows this. I'm the guy on the hill that will argue by myself if I have to till the end of time that any kind of tape goes nowhere near any type of card. It's cardboard.
Blue tape does.
You don't need. I've had painter's tape ruin so many cards over the years. That's my hobby. Dentist trip, Steph. You said tape and top loaders, so
I thought it was invest.
you son of a gun.
I just gonna make this a better show here. Once a cup from chat adds the Ronda Rousey best in her class card, and I'm sorry, no, that card needs to be posted once a day,
every day. Couple of quick shout outs. One kind of somber, not great. Hobby friend Tim with Signature for Soldiers. It said that he posted on his timeline that his mom only has 2 to 4 months to live. Please respect his privacy at this difficult time, but also keep him in your thoughts. Reach out if you feel it's necessary, if you know him, but that's never something that anybody wants to go through personally. And of course, he's been such a good hobbyist and part of the hobby for a considerable amount of time. We just were talking about his promotion and what he did at the National this year. So just keep him in your thoughts moving forward. Life is precious, and consider every day a blessing. And then our good buddies Rob Bertrand and Ivan Lovegren over at Go GTS gave our Tim, Big Shep, an on-air shout-out last week, thanking him for his contribution to the hobby and a wonderful 3+ year run with the About the Cards podcast. And,
right around the last 5 minutes, I want to say.
Yeah, last Thursday's show or so. And Rob's reaction was both genuine and humbling, because when Shep and I were really starting to talk about whether or not we wanted to do a podcast, and we've mentioned this before, we really modeled the About the Cards very similar to the old Cardboard Connection where Rob Bertrand had come from. So he was one of our, mentors in that sense, and I would definitely say our show's not here if not for their show. And so to see his reaction was, it was humbling that, hey, Rob knows who we are. I remember he was in our chat room after one of our episode 8, episode 9. And we're like, dude, in private, we're like, hey, Rob's in the chat room, dude. It's Rob, and he knows who we are, and he's in the chat room, man. So
because we has the internet and we can play them all, unmute.
I've heard. Thanks to yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say I've got a shout out. I just saw in the Twitter chat too. It probably should have been in Hobby Happenings. This is big hobby news. But a big "we'll miss you" to another hobby podcaster, Big Shep, on the About the Cards podcast. Now, last night was his last podcast with that team. Just with life getting busy. Yeah. So he just jumped in the Twitter chat to say hi too, and it just made me.
Well, hey, Shep.
Shep, sorry to hear you're going, but we know that you'll stay in the hobby and stay strong.
Absolutely.
So on Wednesday night, if you're bored on Wednesday night, you don't need to be, because the About the Cards podcast is a great place for you.
So we appreciate Ivan and Rob and all of their contributions to not just everything they do for the National, but the hobby in general. And Rob has been such a big part of the hobby for so long, and Ivan is one of the most active individuals you'll find on Twitter. And I consider both of them good friends, so we appreciate the kind words to Big Shep. And thank you for that.
Free Thursday afternoon.
I try to catch their show as often as possible. A lot of good information. What's nice about their show versus our show is it's a different platform, in the sense that that they offer a lot of information and a lot of links to different resources, and so it's not even like it's Pepsi and Coke. It's more like it's Pepsi and coffee. That they're both beverages, but they're so different, and that's what's great about a lot of the content creators. We all bring something
Coffee versus
different.
tea.
Yeah, whether it's podcasting, whether it's blogging. I know, Dub, you do a lot of blogging, and you do a lot of, or have in the past, and you've had your own fair share of content creation throughout the years, writing for Beckett and things, and it's all different, and all can coexist, and you can like as much of it, and as a 7-day window, or as much of it as you can digest. There's plenty of it out there, so we really want to thank the guys over at Go GTS for that shout out. So any final thoughts before we wrap up this week?
I'll just say I appreciate y'all having me, guys. I know that it's a pretty big step down from Big Shep's window being in the corner, but I've always enjoyed the show, enjoyed everybody's contribution, Ben, Tim, and Steph. As a listener, I'm going to miss Tim, but still going to be tuning in to you guys, and I'm glad to be a part of the a guest host from time to time, and it's one of the podcasts that I make sure I don't miss, even if I miss it live because it's 11 o'clock here. I do catch it, the next day or two when it's on YouTube. So I appreciate y'all having me and considering me a friend of the show.
No, when we unfortunately heard Shep's decision to step away from the show, whether it's short-lived or whether it's forever and ever, and we decided, instead of replacing him full-time and permanently, we'll just go with the cast of, really good friends of ours. You got that DM. You were on an extremely short list of individuals we wanted to reach out to gauge interest, because you've been on the show now, I think 3 or 4 times, and your contributions to the hobby are not only well loved by us, but respected by everybody. There are people in this hobby. I know I get blocked on Twitter because I'm me. when I found out people like Ryan Cracknell and Steph and you have been blocked, it's like, hey, really?
It happens, man.
It's a very small list that I've been blocked.
Yeah.
It's a weird world out there, man.
Yeah, it's just like, so somebody made a comment about like, we're talking about the block lists and funerals. It's like, if my funeral would take 3 days if we listed one by one everybody I've encountered with, and I imagine for you guys it would probably be like 30 seconds. But that just goes to show the respect I think that everybody in the hobby has for you, us included. Sure. That's why we wanted to put you on a short list. Remember, hey guys, gals, before I wrap up, actually, if there's anybody out there listening that would like to come on that we've invited on and haven't had a chance to schedule, or if hey, I wouldn't mind being on, whether it's just as an interview at the top of the show or perhaps a guest host for the complete run of an episode, reach out to us and let us know on Twitter. Hit up Steph or me or the show, and we're trying to come up with a more consistent schedule of the guest hosts and fill in the interviews. Dub, for you tonight, we could have had an interview on with a fourth. You've taken the role of Shep as the third. So it just depends if it'll be a 3-person show or it'll be a 3-person show with an interview still moving forward. We are trying to get a very, very large name in the hobby, a legend, on next week with us. So we are going to...
I can't do 2 weeks in a row, guys.
No, I know.
Good legend.
We're talking about
Angela.
We're talking about Mount Rushmore, and his last name rhymes with Schmeckett.
Ah, okay.
So we're gonna see if we can get the good doctor on with us next week. If not next week, soon, hopefully. But remember, everybody, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific,
10 Central, 11 Eastern, 1
on the good old YouTube. Hey, the next day, go to your favorite podcast platform. Look us up. I'm sure you guys have us saved. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff on your platform of choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. Steph at Junkwax Twins. I'm at Our Trading Cards. Good old Joey is at Dub Mentality. Where else can we find you, brother?
Dubmentality.com is my blog. Anywhere you look, Instagram, TikTok, it's all Dub Mentality. And I go by my regular my writer name in Beckett, Joey Shiver. So
weird.
My pseudonym.
All right. And just remember, he's so popular, even Alan and Ginter named a set after him. So, hey, please share your hobby stories, great pulls. Again, we're adding that new segment, so we want to see your mail days and something you've pulled out of product.
Do.
And keep your questions coming. We definitely would like to answer some of those. Rants, raves, take a video, whatever you got, send it our way, and we'll see how we can squeeze it into a future show. And as always, hey, keep collecting, and thank you for listening.